In the beginning of time, was the carnivore diet originally designed for humans? You'll be shocked what I'm getting ready to say. Hey y'all, Kelly Broken Carnivore here. Welcome to the channel. Was the carnivore diet the ultimate original diet? Were we originally meant to eat meat on our diet? Well, you might be shocked what I'm getting ready to say. I believe in creation. I believe that God created the earth in 7 days and rested. I also believe that everything that was created, life, started at the garden. The garden was called Eden and was on the menu for humans and animals of all kinds. Were we designed to have meat on the menu? Well, truly it doesn't explain that we eat meat at the beginning, but you might be shocked at what I'm getting ready to say. Yes, we were originally designed to eat plants, and the reason why is if you are definitely a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a born-again believer. I believe that God came to this earth in the flesh, robed himself, lived a perfect life, died on the cross, and rose again. His name is Jesus, and what he done, and we're getting ready to celebrate that this weekend with Easter, was one of my favorite holidays. But in the beginning, when God created everything, the food, the animals, and the first humans, which is Adam and Eve, I believe that we did eat plants. And if you're thinking, well, if we were supposed to eat plants, but why is plants making us sick? Well, let me explain. But first, I'm going to explain why we were vegetarians. If you have a Bible, I highly suggest to read that. Go to Genesis chapter 1. Read the whole chapter. And when you get down to verse 29, 28, it will say that we are to rule over the animals. We are on top of the food chain. But also in verse 29, it says, "Then God said, I have given you every plant yielding seed which is on the face of the earth, and every tree which has fruit yielding seed. It shall be food for you." Verse 30, this is for the animals. "For every beast of the earth, to every bird in the air, to everything that creeps on the earth, which is beneath of life in it, I have given every green plant for food." Well, that's simply plain as day. In the beginning there, we were meant to eat. Now, I don't know if time goes on, was it going to change if it was a perfect world? But what happened? Why are we getting sick on eating plants today? Why are we getting diseases? Why is, people are sick all the time? Why are we obese? Why are we having health issues? Well, one, this before everything to what leads up to today is back then, the beginning of time. That was the perfect world. That was God's perfect world. That was the world that we intended to have, and there was no death. This is pre-death. This is before the flood, before the death, before sin entered the world, and this was perfect. Come on. You could pet a tiger or a lion. It's like a big old house cat. Or, if anybody ever watched Open Season, you got the bear Boo. Well, that's what a grizzly bear would be like in this world. It'd be very friendly. We wouldn't have no problem. We wouldn't be running. We wouldn't have to kill it for our defense because it's going to gnaw us to death. Also, back then, women wouldn't have painful childbirth like they do today. So why did sin enter the world? Well, there was one tree besides the tree of life was planted. There was a tree in the garden called the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And Adam and Eve was told, you can have anything in this garden but this one tree. If you eat of this fruit, you will die. It was a command. Well, they didn't die, but they were naked. They weren't ashamed. This is a perfect world. We wouldn't be ashamed. We wouldn't be embarrassed. We wouldn't have sickness. There wouldn't be no sorrow. It's a perfect world. This is paradise. But once they were deceived and they took the temptation and they sinned because they thought the fruit was good, they ate it, and now things has changed. Now we have sickness, we have sorrow. Plants now has their chemical mechanisms, the oxalates, the lectins. Certain plants have toxins. Some were neurotoxins. Some can kill you. And also back then, this was the beginning. This is where everything's changed. I believe this is where now we're going to now we're in post-sin, post-fall. Now we're in sin. We're fallen. And so now we have to work. We have to hunt. We have to gather. We have to work the ground. Nothing's easy anymore. We have to work for everything. So this is where we become hunters and gatherers. This is where we become, this is where we learn agriculture. And this is where I say this is where the carnivore diet entered the human species, because of the fall. Something has to die. So when we go to the store and you look at all the meat, the delicious burger, delicious ribeyes, delicious chuck roast, pork, the bacon, all that, an animal has to die to sacrifice so we can have our nutrition. So we're going to fast forward to the first recorded murder, and this is why we can eat meat. And it's the two brothers. These are the second humans that was recorded on Earth. Cain and Abel, they were brothers. These were Adam and Eve's children. And both of them, one was I'm going to say, we're going to make it simple terms. One was a rancher. One was a farmer. One cultivated the land. The other one raised animals. And they decided they wanted to give God an offering. Abel, he was the rancher. He raised animals. He decided he wanted to sacrifice. He wanted to have a barbecue. Well, Cain wanted to offer his stuff. Well, here we go. God saw that Abel's offering was more fit, and he rejected Cain's. Don't know why, but this is why Cain killed Abel, because of jealousy. And this is definitely right here is a term, and especially, and as I read Genesis, we're going here. Here it is, Genesis 4. And this is where I believe that we now become carnivore. Fatty meat and eggs and all butter and stuff is good for us and is better for us than some plants. And this is the recorded murder, and says, and Abel was a keeper of the flocks, Cain was a tiller of the ground, and in course time Cain brought an offering to the Lord of the fruit of the ground. Abel also the firstborn of his flock, of their fat portion as an offering. The Lord had respect for Abel and his offering, but for Cain, for his offering, he did not have respect, and Cain got very angry. That right there tells you that we are now can eat meat. It is very nutritious for us. And now, as we fast forward, before post-flood, now we're post-flood. We had the flood, and the only family that was left was Noah and his family. And in Genesis 9, God told Noah and his family, every moving thing that lives will be food for you. I give you everything just as I gave you the green plants. Meaning we can eat both, but now we can eat plants and animals. But why today? We're going to fast forward to the 21st century today, where we have a lot of disease and sickness. And why are we now the sickest of the sickest generation of all, and we are getting worse and worse. Well, evolution of agriculture is what changed. The plants back then, that was way different. They had more, is more nutrient dense. Our water had all the minerals we need. The plants, the foods, if you go to the grocery store and see the plants, the foods, the vegetables, the fruits we have today, they're not the same as they were in the beginning of time. They weren't there in the last 500-600 years. It's because of agriculture, the evolution of agriculture and evolution of genetics. As people cross-pollinate, they genetically modified stuff over time to get what we have today, like corn. Corn wasn't what it is. The original plant was some kind of grass that looked like had a corn-like deal, and I guess it was edible. And the natives of that time, because it's founded in central Mexico, so the Aztecs and Mayans, one that discovered this, and this is where they evolved what is today we see corn. So wild strawberries. I remember when I was a kid, I was going down the road and there was wild strawberries. Wild strawberries wasn't no bigger than a small grape or a small blueberry. They were very small. They didn't have a lot of sugar in it. They were sweet, but they weren't that sweet. Today, a strawberry is been so genetically modified. They're huge. They're loaded with fructose. They have genetically modified it and cross-pollinated and changed it to where we have more sugar in it. The same thing goes with trees, the nuts, the plants. All that has changed over time. And we're going to fast forward to the 20th century as the modern grocery store comes in, the modern agriculture comes in. We were getting lazier and lazier. Hey, it was nice to have the equipment. The tractors were invented. That was great. But before 1960 and 70, farmers had different tractors. Farmers didn't spray glyphosate or chemicals or herbicides on their plants. They actually cultivated the ground like their corn. The corn plants, they had high tractors with tall tractors that they can just go in and they can yield the fields. Today, now we're gone so lazy, we're relying on chemicals, universities and stuff, and chemicals. Now we're so genetically modified and we're relying on going to the store. We didn't hunt, we didn't gather, we didn't go fishing, we didn't go hunting, we didn't grow our food today. Now we are hunting and gathering. Now we go to the grocery store. Now we have like thousands and thousands and thousands different products that are packed full of industrial seed oils, chemicals, dyes. But yet we're told, oh, let's eat this. This is why we're sick. This is why today I am now 265 days on carnivore. And, you're telling me, well, you're saying that we were vegans. Why aren't you a vegan? Well, it's because I'm not going to eat the garbage. Now, within season, I may grow a few vegetables outside, like maybe some tomatoes and some cucumbers, maybe some zucchini. I have a strawberry bed. I have, the asparagus bed outside going. Those probably very few plants that I'll eat. There's plants that I will never ever touch again. Most everything I might cook because if you cook, it's a lot better for you because you're getting a lot of those toxins out. So I'm still going to be on carnivore. Today on the menu, we can have steak. We can have a ribeye steak. We can have bacon. And don't forget the delicious butter. I'm going to enjoy this meal because this is what I'm now designed to eat. Not the garbage that we buy at the store, not the hot ultra processed foods, some of the plants. I thrive on this today. So I am grateful that we can eat meat. Like always, let's be kind, be positive, have a good attitude, and encourage and support one another. Y'all enjoy your steaks bacon, eggs, and butter, as I'm going to enjoy it. You all have a great day. God bless.